welcome to the KVJ After the Show podcast.
Kevin's eyes look insane, but he's got new hair. Virginia is a witch, and she farts in her chair. Jason is a spaz who's got an old man's ass. Welcome to the After the Show podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday KVJ After the Show podcast.
Hello.
Hello, Virginia.
How's everyone doing?
Good. Better than Bird. He's getting there. At least hopefully we're going to get him fixed up. We'll have a plan hopefully by the end of the week. So he's doing his MRIs and all of his doctor's visits to figure out hip, back, head, whatever's going on.
Yeah, I apologize to all the people who do not, want to hear about that. I hear you. I know it's annoying to talk about, but people are wondering why. Why am I walking this way, or why am I just can't sleep in this kind of pain. And when I don't sleep, I just kind of get worn down a bit. You can hear it in my voice. You can just see it in my face. And on top of being in pain, not sleeping really almost is worse than the pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It makes, and then you still got to do stuff in life and get shit done, and you're just kind of feeling like you're on this crazy fucking ride.
I get it.
So, yeah, but everything will be all right.
Sounds like it.
Everything will be all right.
I'm trying not to be a complaining bitch.
Got a lot of viewing stuff to hit here on the show today. This weekend, it's going to be kind of light with football. We're not really into it. College is barely getting going. NFL's not for another week. You got some high school games that are going to be on TV that's going to be good to watch, but I'm hoping to get through one more series, and I think for me that's going to be that Presumed Innocent with Jake Gyllenhaal. I've heard good things on that. So if I somehow can squeeze that into my time before football, I'll be very happy. It'll be a very good binge-watching season I just had, Virginia. Good round. Had a good round this year.
So proud of you. I hope your Buckeyes do as well playing football as you did binging shows.
Oh, I do too. That's the whole new stress going to be coming on. Now, there's a couple things that I do look back in the mirror, and I'm glad that rearview mirror, and I'm glad that I did not partake of. The Acolyte would be one of those. That is the latest Star Wars series. They say it's not going to get a second season. Apparently, this season did not go the way they had hoped.
What is the Acolyte?
It's just another, they just keep coming up with these storylines and characters and all this stuff, and it all sucks for the most part. Nothing's capturing the attention the way the original trilogy did. Not to go on the old man rant, but it just, it's just not hitting the way it used to. The Mandalorian, I thought first season did well and seemed to hit. But
that's what I'm saying. It's not that they're not. It's not an old man rant. It's we don't like shitty programming. It's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And
if it were great, there would be a second season, and that's going on.
I liked Rogue One. I liked Mandalorian. They're capable of doing it. I don't like some of their other shit that I think is corny. I think they made a lot of awesome characters turn out to be shit.
It's more miss than hit now.
Yes, it is. Kathleen Kennedy. Ugh. Virginia.
Some other things to check out. They're doing a new documentary called Gary on Peacock about Gary Coleman.
Ooh.
He fell, then died, was taken off life support, and his former agent, his ex-wife, and a co-star are questioning the results of that.
I'd like to question his ex-wife.
Yeah, didn't they think that it was the ex-wife that was involved somehow?
I think that at the time there was talks of him being pushed downstairs.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, could be. Here's a little bit of the trailer of Gary.
The story that she gives is that he fell down a flight of stairs and hit his head, and she saw him in a pool of blood. She didn't want to touch him because she didn't want to be blamed for his death.
Gary was taken off life support 2 days later. His friend and former co-star Todd Bridges tells Inside Edition today that was too soon.
He had told us if something happened, he wanted the chance to be able to make it back. The kid was a fighter. I believe he could have made it back from that.
Do you think the investigation was incomplete or poorly done?
I believe it was poorly done.
Authorities ruled his death an accident.
Okay.
But, look,
2 days.
people get shit wrong all the time.
Yeah, they do.
And people wake up from comas all the time.
It was an odd situation, and I think they had a volatile relationship.
Okay.
Gary Coleman and his
Look,
wife.
if it's volatile and then one of you falls down the stairs, that needs to be investigated a little bit more. Where's the investigation?
It's convenient. Yep. So often it's these domestic disputes that turn deadly.
But that's one of those crimes I feel like you could get away with, and if you just push, if someone's not expecting them to get pushed down the stairs, I mean, you could really do some damage, or a cliff. If you're with someone you love and trust, and they want you dead, and they just push you off a cliff.
If you're not a hiker and your man invites you to go hiking on a cliff, don't go.
How would they even prove you had anything to do with it?
The only hope would be that the person that fell over the cliff somehow survived and said, I was pushed. Or that Gary Coleman survived and said, I was pushed.
Unless they had they pushed him so hard that it left marks on their back. But there's ways you could startle somebody and push them off with not that much force and cause a shit ton of damage.
Yep.
And I think you could get away with it.
Yep.
Because if they say your DNA is on them, we'll go, yeah, I was just hugging them earlier.
Of course my DNA's on them. We're married.
Yeah, we were hugging earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There are a lot
Just
of
don't go down the stairs first. That's what I'm thinking.
Or just don't ever turn your back on anybody.
Always be the last guy walking down the stairs.
Mm-hmm. Another documentary coming out on Peacock, man. They're handling all the good stuff. It's called Face to Face with Scott Peterson. If you remember that story of Scott Peterson, who's been in prison for 2 decades now after being convicted of killing his wife Lacy and their unborn child. He still claims that he is innocent, and he's got a new theory as to who really did it, the real murderers.
I don't know. This guy's full of crap.
They're giving him mic time?
He's getting mic time, baby. Yep.
So if you didn't kill Lacy, who killed Lacy?
Yeah, there was a burglary across the street from my home. There are a lot of people hurt. And I believe that Lacy went over there to see what was going on. That's where she was taken.
So there was a burglary going on, and your pregnant wife decided to go over and check out the burglary.
Nah, dude, not buying it.
And what about that fishing trip you took in the middle of the night on the boat, and then she was found in the same body of water?
There was an Innocence Project that I thought was going to take on his case, or was looking at. It's like, what is it about this case that makes you think he did not do it? Because as I remember the Scott Peterson, it seemed pretty convincing to me.
Yeah, dude, wasn't there so many holes in his stories, and he was just
He was cheating on her.
Yeah, it was so much
he had
shady.
lied to the woman that he was cheating on Lacy with and told her that his wife had died.
He had motive, he had opportunity, his actions lined up to create a timetable. It just was, all right, what else do you need?
The girl who he was cheating with is one of the main ones that turned on him and turned him in.
Yeah.
And I know people are going to say, well, just because you cheat doesn't mean you're a murderer, but it does mean you're a liar. If you're cheating, you're lying. And why would I believe a liar right now who's in jail for this horrific, when there's so many holes in the story?
It's an odd one, but there's still, I guess, some kind of fascination with that story.
Now, he don't get no money for that, does he?
No, I don't think so. In some states, I don't know if it's a federal, I don't think it's federal. Maybe it's some states, though, you cannot benefit from the crimes you committed. So if you wrote a book on it, a movie, anything like that, and the rights, you're not able to profit on it.
Well, John Wayne Gacy used to do paintings. Horrifying, by the way. Oh, Wayne Gacy paintings in prison?
You should not be able to monetize your infamy, and I do agree with that. And if you love the hairband era from the late 80s into the early 90s, there is a Paramount Plus premiere called Nothing But a Good Time, coming out September 17th.
I love this for you, Kevin.
It could be good. It's a 3-part series. You're going to have Bret Michaels from Poison in it, Stephen Pearcy, lead singer for Rat, Nuno Betancourt, the guitarist from Extreme.
I love him. He's a great guitar player, Virginia.
His name is Nuno?
He's good looking, dude. Talk about a guy who's aged
Nuno.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That guy can rock it on the guitar, and he still looks good.
Yep. Dave Snake Sabo from Skid Row, and then Ricky Rackman, who used to host Headbangers Ball.
So what's the whole thing about?
It's just about that era. Here's the trailer.
The music withstood the test of time.
They really changed the game.
We bet on ourselves, and when it paid off, it was awesome.
You didn't realize what a magical time you were in.
There you go.
I don't know. It sounds like one big circle jerk. I want the drama, baby.
It would be interesting to see. I'll probably check a little bit of it out, just see what it looks like for nostalgia purposes.
I love when a band does a true documentary, as the Eagles did. I know they're called Eagles, but as the Eagles did, when they're honest and you get the raw dirt, that's what I like.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of like, oh, it's a great time. We're fucking rocking.
Yeah. Most of those bands could. Most of those bands wind up not liking each other. I know Skid Row, they've got problems with Sebastian Bach. I think Rat had problems with Stephen Pearcy, so they all have problems.
I think Sebastian Bach has problems with Sebastian Bach.
I think you're right. Absolutely. Talking about hitting big, did you see that Alex Cooper, who does the Call Her Daddy podcast, signed a 3-year, $125 million deal with Sirius XM?
She's going to satellite, baby.
Wow.
And she'll probably bring a lot of subscribers to satellite. She's getting a big Howard Stern style deal, but with the new young generation. I think it's smart.
That's what you hope. I mean, that's what satellite wants. Now, will they go from where she's at now and pay extra money to get that?
How much will they charge?
Yes.
Because I think that's going to be the big question. I don't think Call Her Daddy fans are going to pay what Howard Stern fans paid.
Well, I've just heard of shows that were, and I don't know if her show is free now, if you can listen to it. I know you can on Spotify.
It's on Spotify.
And she did a $100 million deal, I think, when she did it with Spotify. So,
but there's a lot of ads in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
a lot.
I've heard people talk about going over to satellite, and it does shed their audience somewhat.
It happened to Stern. And no one had a more loyal fan base than Stern in the history of doing this.
Opie and Anthony the same way. They had a big terrestrial audience, and then because you have to pay extra money.
Right.
You know what's so weird about Howard Stern was when he was on terrestrial radio and you couldn't be, he was dirty, and then he went to satellite and got clean.
Well, when he first got to satellite, he was not clean.
Yeah, he started edgy on satellite.
He was edgy.
Okay.
He got himself, older.
And was it just that maybe people didn't care? That they're like, okay, all right.
He calmed down.
Yeah, it's when he it's when he met his wife Beth a bit, and then she kind of. Not right away, but when I would say year 3 into marriage of Beth, that's why they call him Hampton Howie, because he used to call and prank and make fun of celebrities.
Yeah.
And now he just loves them, and he's rubbing elbows with the rich people.
Right.
He's kind of lost his common person type of persona.
Right. The reason for his appeal.
Yeah, and he did clean it up, too. He don't do what he used to do.
No, and now, his interviews are still phenomenal. I love his interviews. But all the goofy stuff with all the side players on his show, they are all freaking annoying, and I can't.
He was, I think, known for being a good interviewer for a while because he would be so salacious. But if you listen back to some of his early interviews, he was not the greatest interviewer. He would interrupt people all the time, not let them finish a statement.
What are you talking about?
But I think he's gotten better.
He has.
I think he asks a question and then he listens to what they say.
Yeah, he leaned all in on that. And it was a good, growth for him. Now, what this will do to Alex Cooper, be interesting to see what the platform is like. KJ says that the Sirius podcast platform and streaming app is garbage and impossible to cancel. So with a lot of content out there and other podcasts that are free, this will be the determinant. See, okay, it's always the barrier of entry and how difficult it is, and see what happens. But look, she made $100 million from Spotify. I know she didn't make every penny of that $100 million deal, but a lot. And then $125 million for 3 years. That's $225 million. The girl could, after this, and a lot of it's guaranteed after 3 years, even if it doesn't take off, she should be pretty good.
Yeah, let's just say it turns into the worst failure. It blows up. A lot of people have failed and didn't make that kind of money. At least you're going to get some money for this shit.
Right?
No
I mean, is it
what
a
happens.
completely guaranteed deal, or is it one of those deals that it's, pending subscriptions and it's, over the course of many years? Like, I'd love to read the fine print because I'm fascinated.
Yep. Well, there's a lot of things of controversy to get on. One that we hit earlier in the show, it appears like it is legit, a proposal to take about 1,000 acres of Jonathan Dickinson State Park and turn it into 2 18-hole golf courses, 1 9-hole golf course, take down the tower that they have there as well. And Babsy said, hey, I work for Martin County, and they have this posted in our lobby regarding the story of Jonathan Dickinson State Park and the future deals. Now, currently, we have no proposal in our system, but if this does move forward, it would take land and zoning changes. That's about a year, and then development orders to be done with the county. That could be another year. Then permits would be required. So this project could be several years away, likely. But I heard, too, they tried this in 2011, and here we are in 2024, and still nothing. But people are on this. It does appear like it's legit. Somebody just sent me this artwork, says, protect our parks, say no to the golf course. People have just really kind of had it with development. They've had it with, they feel like people are coming in and taking our place to live to give to the affluent in the community. And I think people are just getting kind of sick of it.
And I think it's a good question to ask. Is this going to be an executive private course, or is this going to be everybody? Because
I would argue, regardless, golf is still an expensive sport. And, a lot of the people that do enjoy golf are typically middle class to upper class.
Yeah, I love nature. I love animals. I give a frog's fat ass about golf. I mean,
yeah,
who gives a fuck about golf?
It is.
I'm not a golfer.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
a
most people are
specified
not.
interest.
More people like nature and animals than they do golf.
Yeah.
Right?
It feels like that is a more valuable use of the land, to have a little nature preserve and a place where people can go out. I mean, more than ever with social media and everything else going on, we need a place to be able to retreat to. I don't know that.
Who profits from this deal?
I hear there's some big money people behind it. They didn't say who those big money people were, but it's probably a lot of the usual suspects.
Some big fat cat with a limo, smoking a big cigar, drinking a martini at 9A.
Garfield?
I always picture some big fat guy with a ponytail.
Like Boss Hogg.
But it's slicked back, but he's in a limo. He's got a cigar. He's got all this money.
See all this land here?
Yeah, I want it all.
All this land on this side. It's going to be my golf course.
We're developing, all right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, and I see it all over, and this is the one big fight, and you're going to have to stay in tune with what is happening, and a lot of us are going to have to get a little bit more vocal, I believe, in our protests and start showing up to some of these meetings and sending the emails and letting people know, because if you just sit by quietly, the big money interest and the connections that they have are going to continue to gobble up our valuable spaces.
I will say this. Jonathan Dickinson, that is a big-ass park.
It's 11,500 square.
I've driven it because I went the wrong way
acres,
one time, and I went the opposite way from where I was supposed to go, which is where the boat launch is. And I got lost, and I was like, "Damn, this is a big bitch."
Yeah, I mean, it's a state park. It should be big. It should have a lot of nature in it. You should get lost and shit your pants when you can't get back home.
The sun is setting. I'm like, "Oh fuck!"
Believe me,
I live here now.
Me and the snack pack definitely got lost in Jonathan Dickinson the last time we went camping out there.
Well, unlike you goofballs, I wasn't high. I was just lost. You guys probably ate a handful of mushrooms.
We were over there. Stop saying that. You keep saying that. No, it's not true. But I was high and drunk, and we could not find our fucking way back. We had to walk. Someone's wife had to pick them up because they were in trouble.
In trouble?
Yeah, and we had to walk them to like the main part, and we could not find our RV back because we were camping. And we got lost, dog, in the dark.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, It was kind of fun, though.
I'm surprised you're here.
You had a group. Now, if you were alone,
Yeah.
I would not have liked that.
No way.
Mm-hmm. Tammy had said, yeah, Trapper John used to own Jonathan Dickinson. He sold some, but before he died, he wanted the state of Florida to make it a state park. It's an interesting story.
The Trapper John story is he's a Florida legend here. You heard about him, when you were a kid, you heard about him around these parts.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember we used him as a character in one of our stunts.
You told Jay Bird's mother that you were Trapper John.
Yeah.
Not Trapper John. Trapper Nelson is the one who has the...
Trapper John was a television doctor?
Trapper John MD, yeah.
Trapper Nelson's the one that had Jonathan Dickinson.
Oh,
Trapper
okay.
Nelson is different than Trapper John.
Tammy wrote Trapper John.
MD.
Maybe
Too many
she meant
trappers. Trapper Keeper.
Trapper.
Okay. I did see, too, talking about coming in and taking land. Riviera Beach is now becoming one of those places that people are looking at. They've got a lot of big projects that are going on, and it seems like Riviera Beach has said, you know what, we're okay with selling out. And so that's going to be one of the new battlegrounds of developers versus the people in the area.
So they're just taking everything.
Well, I'm telling you, this is going to be a big thing. You're going to hear the Northwood area, a lot of that. You're going to hear a lot of talk about gentrification here, and it's starting to creep up from there and cruise into Riviera Beach, and it's heading north. Where that is.
It just seems like everything's being rebuilt from at least West Palm all the way up through your Gardens and even your Jupiter area.
Yeah, West Palm, the waterfront there in West Palm has changed, and the area that they're going, it's north of downtown West Palm, connecting with Singer Island. I think that whole area is what they're trying next to gentrify and put a bunch of expensive towers in there.
I mean, think about it. Riviera Beach, a lot of that is waterfront.
Yep.
And a lot of that is very run down and dilapidated. But you think about like how primo waterfront goes for in places like Gardens and Jupiter and even north of me up in Stewart. And Riviera Beach has a lot of primo waterfront property. And they're using, I think they're going to try to use that eminent domain.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I was born and raised in this area, and when I tell you it was a lot of land out here when I was a little kid. We're talking from North Lake Boulevard, even down on your A1As, and then Palm Beach Gardens and West Palm Beach, but especially your Gardens area. I can't even recognize it anymore. It's becoming a downtown area. Yeah. I think it's going to be. I think Lake Park is too. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm hearing.
I just hope that the people that now own the property, whatever the property is that they want to take to build the high-rises and condos, that those people are paid the highest amount possible and that their land isn't just taken from them and they're just told tough titty.
Well, you're a dinosaur if you say you don't want to have progress, but then you're a dick face if you want the progress. So who's right?
Good question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Sandy, of course, sent in a kind of nasty email about the politics. I do state, and I had people yesterday being like, okay, are you going to play any big clips that happened to the DNC like you did on the RNC? And I said, absolutely. If there is a sound bite that seems like it should be viral that people should know about, then I will definitely play it. And that's my stance on it. So I tried to be even for both, and if it's something that you probably should know about, I played the same sound bites that were played on the regular news, just so you know what's going on. And that's what I do for you, and that's what I play for you. But yeah, I get it from both sides whenever it happens. So I was a Republican until Monday, and now I'm a Democrat.
So you're a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
You try to keep it hair and balanced.
Yeah.
Hair and balance.
I do. Hair and balance. So.
But well, here's what happens though. Sometimes, because not everyone listens to the whole show, they'll tune in, they'll hear one thing, and you may not play the other part, you know, the other side of the aisle during that day or that moment, and they think you're just playing the one thing.
No, as it comes up and it's timely, if it's something that's a big enough story, we try to cover that stuff so that you at least have an idea what's going on in the world and what people are talking about. But yeah, I'm not going to go out on a limb and Not going to stump for one party or the other, so that's not going to be the speed, but you will hear the clips, and it does happen, and every time you do, just know I get hate mail.
And you'll just be informed, though. Think about it like that. Like, even if you don't agree with the party that he's playing the audio from, at least you know what they're out there saying.
Now, was it just audio played, or was it followed up with commentary? Because commentary is where you're going to get people mad.
No, there wasn't any commentary. Just played it and said, hey, here's what happened last night at the DNC. There were a couple things, and here are the little sound bites that you might want to know. And so, yeah, I will tell you that I know a lot of Republicans watch the DNC and vice versa because they want to hear what the other side's saying about them.
And honestly, no matter what, you are gonna get hate. No matter, I mean, we've known that since we've been doing the gig. You can talk about anything, and you're gonna get hate for something.
It's still an interesting thing how it irritates people, though. Like for instance, I'm an Ohio State Buckeye fan, so you don't like Michigan or the team up north. But I can walk into a room and they can be talking about Michigan and they can be saying how great they're going to look and they just won the national championship and all that stuff. And I don't go, I don't have a meltdown.
You don't start punching people with Michigan jerseys on. That would be an awesome video.
You've worn Michigan gear in here before.
Right. It's just odd like how upset still that people get about that. I mean, you know what they're going to say and what's going to go on. So. But people are, but I will continue to do it, and I'll continue to take your hate mail. You can send it to mail@kvjshow.com.
I mean, if you don't get a little bit of hate mail, I think you're kind of being a pussy, right?
Right, exactly. So that's what we do, and that's why we do it. And if you ever care to talk politics with me, I'm happy to do it, not on this show. To look for me, and I will talk with you all day long.
Preferably after you buy him a tequila.
That would be best. That'd be best.
The worst is talking to somebody who's overly drunk and overly almost emotional about the politics.
But Kevin listens to everybody.
I love it.
He will soak it in, whatever you're saying, and he will not argue with you. He will just kind of listen to what you have to say and then form his own opinion without fighting in the street.
That's it. It really is important stuff. It is. It's the kind of stuff we're talking about, like the Jonathan Dickinson and your taxes and how much you pay and how much money you got and this and that. So it is. Honestly, it is good. I know a lot of it's really irritating, but it is a really important thing.
We've said many times we don't care about politics on the air. We do care about politics. I just don't think we like discussing it so much on the air publicly.
Well, we don't care about making half the people sad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
half the people are going to be upset with what you say if you pick a side, so I choose not to pick a side.
Personally, I like being goofy and fun and light. That's my personal favorite thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's fight over flatbread pizza, bitch.
Yeah, I like goofy shit like that.
Yeah, that's the debates we'll have. Yeah, we're not going to debate the politics, but we will, just for the sake of you knowing what is happening in the world. We'll do that for your own good.
And every now and then something creeps. It sneaks in. It just happens. Sometimes you can't help it.
Because it's funny.
It just sneaks in, exactly.
Yeah, I do enjoy picking on both sides when something funny does happen. Steven sent an email. He said, sorry, Kev, Ireland and England, 5 hours ahead. Paris is 6. Okay, there you go. So we're talking about the time zones.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know generally right about then is what you're talking about ahead, and that's only because, like I said, I got a friend over in Belgium, and then my daughter was over. I assume she was 6 ahead because she was more towards Italy and south of France.
What time's in Australia right now?
That I don't know. Like I said, you're going to get me if you go. I know that one little pocket. I know a little bit about Jerusalem. I think Jerusalem was 7 hours, because I had taken that trip 4 or 5 years ago.
Don't question Jerusalem, Kev, on Jerusalem Facts.
Yeah, the only thing I'm a little fuzzy on is the time zone, but I think it's 7 hours ahead.
Oh, for at least 21 days after Jerusalem, Kevin was just glowing as a human.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody the other day that was on that trip with you, and this person said, we tuned out the tour guide so we could listen to Jerusalem Kev give Jerusalem facts because his were better, more correct, more on point. They're like, we should have paid him for the tour.
I could have run the tour. In fact, the one day they took a tour and they went to a place. I'm like, guys, this spot's kind of lame. I said, follow me. And we did it right,
He took his people to the chosen land.
I did. I took them to spots that you had to see.
Would you say you legit, when you got back or during that trip, did you feel like you had a spiritual kind of experience?
Oh, I loved it. It was amazing because of just even knowing the history and what has been said to have taken place there. To me, there's no more impactful little spot on the map on the entire planet than that. So, yeah, I loved it. So it was great for me.
You've been reading about this place in the Bible for so many years, and then you got to go and see it.
To see all that, or where they believe it happened. And look, a lot of you have to take with a grain of salt, but just know that somewhere in this vicinity, if you were here at a certain point in time, you would have seen or not seen, which I think to me is just as valuable. If you would have been there and be like, okay, right now is exactly when David and Goliath are going on, and you're going, I don't think any David or Goliath, just to be able to know that. But this is where it supposedly went down. We went to that place, that little valley where that was supposed to happen. So everywhere you go is just a great history story.
And Goliath was the giant, right?
Goliath was the giant, that David supposedly slayed. And the David and Goliath, that's...
I mean, it's a great story.
You don't have to be religious to know the David and Goliath, that they always use that in sports.
I mean, it's the Rudy story.
It is, all the time. This is an interesting thing about the prompting for ChatGPT. And Engineer Keith, kind of our resident authority on that, he said, you're talking about whether or not it performs better if you're nice. I've not seen anything about that, but there are definitely some prompts you can use. One phrase that I've read will get you better results is you can say, I'll give you a tip for better service. For some reason, ChatGPT just performs better that way. And another example is to prompt it by saying, think step by step when asking complicated questions for more logical answers. And they said using please or thank you does nothing for it, but those are a couple things. And I will tell you the other things, that we kind of learned was say it to me this way or try it again.
Talk like you're speaking to a kindergartner.
Yeah, little things like that work. And I got to tell you, the thing that has just radically changed my life with it for what I do is taking a story, which they are so overwritten in everything. The Palm Beach Post, Sun Sentinel, Yahoo, everything.
Like a whacked out news kind of a story?
All of it that I want to try to get. There were 3 big stories today, and I'm looking, I'm like, my gosh. I mean, how long can they make this freaking story? Copy the whole thing. I say condense by 90%, not even kidding you, into ChatGPT, and it condenses, it takes away all that fluff and crap they're trying to do to make sure they got a word quota for their story, or they're trying to keep you locked into that story for a certain amount of time.
Scroll and click and click through.
You get rid of all the crap language and you get the 3 or 4 lines that you need to do. And I used to have to read that entire article of garbage to get the 3 to 4 lines I needed. Now ChatGPT just picks it out and is like, here's what you need to know.
So we don't have to be polite to these robots yet. They're not going to turn on us if you go, hey, fuckface, find me this article and then condense it by 90%.
I don't know if I would call it fuckface.
See, because you're scared the robots are going to turn on your ass.
It's taking notes.
It is. I think I'd still be polite to it.
I don't want it to have a file on me.
I will. All of a sudden, you mistreat your AI robot.
I got enough people walking around with a file on me. I don't need a robot with a file on me.
All of a sudden, AI has a bad day and it wants to fuck your world up.
That's it. And Stassi said, I was listening to yesterday when you're talking about the correlation of a man's package to his nose.
Yes.
It came from a urologist that had said that if you want to tell the size of a man's package, just look at his nose. My personal experience, my grandmother told me this over 25 years ago. I was surprised and so curious about it. I remember for the rest of my life, she said, Grandma said, I've seen some noses, and in the past 25 years, not only the size of the nose correlates to the package, but also the shape. For example, there are thinner, longer noses or some thicker, short ones.
Yeah, thin dick.
So it's almost like you talk about dick face. What you have on your nose is probably what you have in your pants.
Damn.
Sounds like Grandma liked to get it.
Dick
yes,
face.
she did.
Y'all all a bunch of dick faces.
How about that, huh?
So
Grandma.
you see a guy with a long nose.
Prove it.
And it's thin. He's got long, thin dick.
We just got to do a side-by-side comparison.
That's some crazy stuff, isn't it? That's what Grandma says it.
Look. This came from Grandma. I believe it.
Well, just Grandma sounded like she just, knew what she was talking about and was experienced.
Yeah. How about old Grandma? Never know what Grandma's going to give you. That's good stuff. Well, thank you for all the emails here today and the conversation. Do appreciate it. You can always get them through to us, mail@kvjshow.com. We are now on the backside of the week, getting to that weekend. See you back here tomorrow. Goodbye.